I have been staring at the stat sheets from this weekend for, I don't know, about an hour.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if I should be impressed or just absolutely terrified.
Terrified might be the right word. I mean, it was a violent week.
Right.
And I don't just mean the physical hits on the field,
Yeah.
I mean the sheer violence done to the narratives we've been building them all season long.
It really feels like the league just picked up the Etch-a-Sketch and, shook it as hard as possible.
Completely wiped clean.
Exactly. We have a historic winning streak over 30 games finally snapping. We have the Red River rivalry ending on what might be the single most questionable defensive play call I've ever seen.
Oh, it was baffling.
And then amidst all that noise, we have a defensive coordinator just quietly packing his bags in the middle of the night.
It's the density of the news that's overwhelming. Usually you get one, maybe two program-defining moments a week. We got 3 in about 48 hours.
It's a lot to process, for sure. But here is the mission for this deep dive. We are not just going to sit here and read the scoreboard to you.
No, anyone can check an app for the score.
Exactly. We need to figure out why these things happen based on the inside reports we've been gathering. We're looking for the decision points.
Precisely. We are looking at the specific split-second decisions, whether that's on the sideline in the heat of the moment or up in the front office, that have completely altered the trajectory of this season. We need to unpack the logic or, frankly, the lack thereof behind them.
So here is the map for today's dive. We're starting down in Dallas in the Cotton Bowl with the instant classic between Coach Lito and Coach Joe.
A phenomenal game.
Then we have to dissect the end of the Arkansas streak. Coach TJ finally taking down the giant, Coach Parlay, but doing it under a massive cloud of controversy.
Which we definitely need to get into.
We will. And then we'll look at the sudden retirement of Coach Tez from Northwestern, which, let's be honest, feels more like a mercy killing.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. And we have to finish by looking ahead, too, because the betting markets for Week 7 just opened. And the numbers are, well, they're frankly insulting.
Insulting is the exact right word. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go to Dallas. Texas versus Oklahoma. Coach Lito versus Coach Joe. Final score, 51-48.
An absolute track meet from start to finish.
I want to start with the stats.
Yeah.
Because they literally look like a video game. Texas runs for nearly 500 yards.
On the ground.
On the ground.
Yeah.
And then Oklahoma turns around and throws for over 500 yards.
Yeah.
It felt like defense was just this theoretical concept that neither team actually believed in.
It was pure chaos out there. And usually when you have a game that is this volatile, high variance, huge chunk plays, absolutely no structure, it favors the team that embraces the chaos.
Right.
But what's fascinating here is how it ended. Because for a brief moment, it really looked like Coach Joe had actually tamed the beast.
Right. So let's set the scene for the listener for that final minute. Because Oklahoma had clawed back from a pretty significant deficit.
They did. They played a terrible first half defensively, but late in the fourth quarter, they put together this beautiful, methodical drive.
Just chewing up clock?
Exactly. They score to tie the game. The momentum is entirely with the Sooners. Coach Joe looked like a genius for about 5 seconds. He had pulled off the comeback.
But he left time on the clock.
He did.
30 seconds. Now, to the casual fan, 30 seconds doesn't sound like enough time to do anything meaningful.
In modern college football, 30 seconds is an eternity.
Especially against Texas.
Exactly, especially when you are facing an offense like that. You have Storm Bolin at quarterback, who we know can scramble for 20 yards in the blink of an eye.
Right.
You have Darrell Lyman, who is incredibly explosive out of the backfield. But the real danger, and this is where the decision-making just gets completely baffling, is Ashton Runnis.
So it's a tie game. 30 seconds left. Texas has the ball on their own side of the field. Most coaches would just play it safe, right? Keep everything in front of you. Try to force overtime.
That is the conventional wisdom, yes. You play a prevent defense. You put your safeties 30 yards deep and essentially say, you can catch a 10-yard pass underneath, but you are not running past us.
But Coach Joe didn't do that.
No. He decided to press.
For the listener who hasn't played corner, break that down. What does pressing actually look like in that specific moment?
It means the cornerback lines up right in the receiver's face at the line of scrimmage. No cushion at all.
Just right up on him.
Right up on him. You are trying to jam him, disrupt his timing physically right at the snap. It's a very aggressive alpha dog mentality.
Yeah.
But crucially, Oklahoma did this with absolutely no safety help over the top. It was man-to-man, zero coverage.
against Ashton Rainey's. That feels, I mean, is arrogant the right word?
It's borderline suicidal.
Wow.
To use an analogy from one of the scouting reports we reviewed, pressing Ashton Raines without safety help is like poking a rattlesnake with a very short stick.
You're going to get bit.
You might survive, but the math says you won't. Renz is arguably the fastest player in the entire nation. If he takes one false step, or if the corner misses his jam by even a fraction of an inch, the play is over.
And the play was over immediately.
Instantly. Texas saw the alignment pre-snap. You could see Storm Bolin check the play at the line. Renz just gives this little nod.
He knew.
He absolutely knew. And at the snap, Renz didn't just win the route, he erased the defender. He blew right past him. Bolin hits him perfectly in stride, and in one single play, Texas goes from their own territory deep into field goal range.
The Oklahoma sideline must have been physically sick watching that develop.
You could literally see the color drain from Coach Joe's face on the broadcast. It was a tactical suicide mission. You just cannot press that man in that situation.
But they still had to make the kick. And this adds a whole other layer to the drama. They didn't send out a senior. They sent out a freshman, Tony Batista.
Think about the pressure on that kid.
Unbelievable.
Red River rivalry. 90,000 people screaming their lungs out. Time expiring. If you miss, you go to overtime and probably lose because your defense is completely gassed from giving up 500 yards.
Right. The defense had nothing left.
Nothing. But if you make it, you're an instant legend.
And the kid had never been in a moment anywhere near this big.
Never. High school doesn't prepare you for that. But he had ice in his veins. He drilled it. Dead center, Texas wins.
Incredible. But I want to zoom out to the broader implications here. We talk a lot on this show about the tiers of coaches. Does this game actually change how we view Coach Leto? Because he's usually a bit of a control freak, right? He likes methodical, suffocating wins.
That's exactly why this is a massive level-up moment for him. We knew Leto could win when things were going his way.
Sure.
We knew he could strangle a team with time of possession. But this week, he proved he doesn't need control to win.
He can win in the mud.
Exactly. He can win a volatile, messy, chaotic shootout, and that makes him infinitely more dangerous down the stretch.
So where does he sit now in the hierarchy?
The sources we're talking to are saying this moves him up a full tier. Leto moves firmly into the S+ tier alongside the Giants, like Coach Parlay and Coach Bone. He's sitting at the top table now.
Wow. And conversely, for Coach Joe, I mean, this has to hurt his stock significantly.
It confirms the existing narrative about him, which is the absolute worst thing that can happen to a coach.
Right, the narrative being...
The book on Joe is elite ceiling, unstable finish.
Yeah.
He can build a Ferrari of an offense, but he might just drive it straight into a ditch on the final lap. Losing to your arch rival purely because of a tactical error like that zero coverage call, that stain does not wash out quickly.
Speaking of stains that don't wash out, let's move to the other seismic event of the weekend. The streak is over. Coach Parlay and Arkansas, undefeated for 2.5 seasons, over 30 straight games.
It's an incredible run, but, you know, it had to end eventually. The law of averages comes for everyone.
But it ended in such a weird fashion. Coach TJ and Alabama finally get the win. Now, normally, if the undisputed #1 team loses to a powerhouse like Alabama, the headline is simple, right? The king is dead.
Right.
But that's not really the vibe I'm getting from any of the reports.
No, not at all. This win comes with a giant, blinking, neon-lit asterisk attached to it.
Explain the controversy for us, because the losing side always complains about the refs. Was this actual malpractice or just sour grapes from Arkansas fans?
It was a genuine officiating circus. It wasn't just one tight judgment call that could go either way. It was a whole sequence of events late in the game.
Walk us through it.
So there was a whistle blown dead on a play that clearly wasn't over, which froze a massive gain for Arkansas.
So that killed the momentum.
Killed it completely. But then, shortly after, there was a spot of the ball on a critical down that looked, let's just say, generous to Alabama.
Generous is a polite way to put it.
Very polite. And it somehow stood after official review.
So it was just officiating roulette.
Exactly. It felt random. And that's the real problem for Coach TJ here.
Because he needed this, right? TJ has been the almost guy for a while now. He needed a signature win to prove he is actually on Parlay's level.
He was desperate for a clean, defining victory. He wanted to walk into midfield, look Parlay in the eye, shake his hand, and say, I beat you straight up.
Right.
And while he got the W in the column, the controversy just muddies the waters so much. Even the Alabama fan base seems to feel it. The reports show it's very muted celebration. It's a feeling of, well, we'll take it, but did we actually earn it?
I want to push back on that slightly, though, because if we strip away the refs for a second, Alabama didn't play poorly.
Oh, absolutely not. We have to give them their credit. It wasn't a fluke performance in terms of effort or execution. Alabama played with incredible urgency.
Yeah.
They matched Arkansas physically, which almost nobody in the country does. Parlay's teams are bullies, and Alabama stood right in the pocket and traded punches with them. They forced mistakes that Parlay's team usually never makes.
So it's essentially a heavyweight title fight that ended with a cheap shot.
That's the perfect way to phrase it. Arkansas didn't get exposed as a fraud. They still looked physical, disciplined, and explosive. This didn't look like a dynasty falling apart. It just looked like a great team getting caught in a really weird, poorly managed game.
And historically, how does Coach Parlay respond to this kind of thing?
Yeah.
Does he spiral? Because we've seen some coaches, when they lose a massive streak like that, the locker room just fractures.
Never with Parlay. The history shows that his teams respond to adversity with intense, almost frightening aggression.
Yeah.
The source material puts it perfectly. They respond like it insulted their family. I really wouldn't want to be the team playing Arkansas next week.
Well, we'll get to who that unlucky team is in a minute. But first, we need to address the situation up at Northwestern. Coach Taz has officially retired.
Retired.
I can hear the air quotes in your voice from across the table.
We definitely need to decode this for the listener. In college football, when a coordinator retires mid-season or abruptly after a rough patch, it is almost never a voluntary walk into the sunset.
No.
This was a quiet push-out.
A save-face maneuver by the university.
Exactly. It's the classic, you resign so we don't have to publicly fire you routine.
Let's look at the why here.
Yeah.
Because when Tez was hired, the media loved it. He was young, energetic, supposedly a modern defensive thinker.
He was a classic high-upside hire. Northwestern took a gamble. They didn't hire a proven 10-page resume. They hired potential.
Right.
They hoped he would bring a schematic advantage to a program that honestly needs every single edge it can get.
And instead,
The defense didn't just struggle to adapt, it fully regressed. We are talking about basic day one fundamentals.
like what?
Missed tackles in open space constantly. Absolutely no pass rush pressure, giving quarterbacks all day to throw. And perhaps most damning of all, no identity.
That's the worst part. I watched a few of their games on tape, and I couldn't tell you what they were actually trying to do schematically.
Opponents were just dictating the flow of the game to them from the first snap, and you have to understand the specific context of the Big Ten here.
It's a different animal.
It really is. This isn't a finesse league where you can trick people. You are facing future NFL offensive linemen and brutal power run games every single week. If your defense is soft, if your scheme is too cute, you just get bludgeoned.
So it was simply a case of the job being too big for him.
Likely. It's the Peter principle in action. He might be a great position coach somewhere, but coordinating an entire Big Ten defense is an entirely different beast.
So Northwestern took a swing, they missed badly, and now they're left picking up the pieces.
And they are in a really dangerous spot now. A mid-season coordinator change usually results in even more chaos. The defense right now is just an anchor dragging the whole ship down.
Okay, let's pivot to the future. Because if we thought the last week was crazy, the odds makers for Week 7 seem to think the gap between the top and bottom of this league is just rapidly widening.
The spreads are practically shouting at us. These aren't just betting numbers. They are definitive statements about the current hierarchy of the league.
Let's start with the angry giant we mentioned earlier. Coach Parlay in Arkansas, fresh off that controversial loss, taking on Coach Nate in Vanderbilt. The line opened at Arkansas minus 21.5.
21.5. That is the largest spread in the entire history of this dynasty.
Just so the listener understands the math here, a 21.5-point favorite means Vegas expects Arkansas to be more than 3 full touchdowns better on a neutral field.
Which is staggering.
It implies Arkansas will score at will, and Vanderbilt essentially won't be able to move the ball past the 50.
They are seeing a nuclear reactor going up against a coupon book.
I love that analogy from the reports. Break that down for us.
Parlay's offense is the nuclear reactor. It's efficient, it's powerful, and it feels completely inevitable. Even coming off a loss, the underlying metrics show they are a machine.
And Vanderbilt.
On the other side, Nate's defense at Vanderbilt has been shockingly generous. The scouting report literally says they give up chunk plays like coupons.
Just handing them out to anyone who asks.
Exactly. Here, have 20 yards. Oh, you need a first down. Have another 15.
So for Coach Nate, what is the actual goal here? Because winning seems statistically impossible, according to the guys setting these lines.
It's not about winning at all. It's about survival. It's about maintaining some shred of respectability. If Nate can somehow make Parlay sweat for even a single quarter, that is a massive moral victory.
But Vegas doesn't see that happening.
Not at all. The books are saying this is going to be an absolute blowout. They don't think these two teams are even playing the same sport right now.
It feels like a get-right game for Arkansas. They were going to take out all their frustration about the officiating from last week directly on Vanderbilt.
I genuinely fear for the Commodores.
The second game on our radar is Coach Ben and UNC versus Coach Bryce. The line here is UNC minus 17.5.
Which makes it the second largest spread in Dynasty history. And this one is fascinating because of the specific psychology of Coach Ben.
Right, because he's not usually a run-up-the-score kind of guy. Parlay might drop 60 on you just to make a point. Ben seems perfectly content to win a game 24-0 and go home.
Exactly. Coach Ben is incredibly disciplined. He's methodical. He suffocates teams slowly like a boa constrictor. He doesn't usually blow people out by 40 just for the highlight reel or the stat.
So the line means more here.
Much more. For the books to put him as a 17.5-point favorite, that implies a level of total unquestioned dominance. They expect his team to control every single snap of this football game.
And for Coach Bryce, this really feels like a pivotal moment for his tenure.
It's a major fork-in-the-road moment. Bryce is currently stuck in the absolute worst place you can be in college football, the middle.
The dreaded purgatory of 7-5.
It is. Not bad enough to get fired immediately, but not relevant enough to matter. To become relevant, he doesn't necessarily have to win this game. Nobody expects him to beat UNC,
Right.
but he absolutely must compete. If he goes out there and gets blown out by 20 or 30 points, he just confirms to everyone that he doesn't belong on the same field with the elite teams.
He needs to show a pulse.
Yeah.
Show that the program is moving forward.
100%. If he keeps it close, if he makes Ben even a little uncomfortable in the fourth quarter, he changes the narrative completely. He proves he's actually building something real. But if he lays an egg, the recruiting trail gets very, very cold.
So, to recap the landscape for you as we head into Week 7, we have Coach Leto ascending to the top tier after proving he can win a chaotic shootout. We have the historic Arkansas streak ending in controversy, but the machine looks just as dangerous as ever.
If not more dangerous.
Exactly. We have Northwestern admitting defeat on a defensive coaching experiment. And now, we are looking at Week 7 spreads that strongly suggest the heavyweights are pulling far, far away from the rest of the pack.
It's a huge turning point in the season. The landscape is shifting right under our feet.
It certainly is. And as we wrap up, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about control versus chaos.
Yeah, if we try to connect all this to the bigger picture of the sport, think about what we just learned this week. Coach Leto proved he can win with chaos. He stepped into a wild shootout, saw the anarchy unfolding, and just outgunned Oklahoma.
While Coach Parlay, historically, wins with strict control and total dominance.
Right, and now we have these massive spreads staring us in the face. 21 points. 17 points.
That's unprecedented.
It is. So the question I want to leave you, the listener, with is this. As we look at these massive numbers, are we severely underestimating the any given Saturday factor? We just saw Alabama beat Arkansas. We saw Texas survive by an absolute miracle kick. Is the gap between the elite S-plus tier and the rest of the field truly becoming a canyon that no tactical decision can bridge? Or is chaos still waiting right around the corner?
Are we watching a true competition, or are we just watching the predators finally separate from the prey?
That's the defining question for Week 7.
I can't wait to find out. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.